Santa Barbara, please welcome producer, author, activist, and Academy Award winner Lupita Nyong'o. Great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So happy you're here on a very busy time in your life because you were just at the SAG Awards as a nominee for Best Actress for your performance in Us. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
How was the night? I saw some photos of you. I think I saw a photo of you with Robert De Niro. You had a photo with Keegan-Michael Key. What were some highlights of the evening for you last night?
Well, it was a lovely night. I got to see people I haven't seen in a while, like Brad Pitt, who I did 12 Years a Slave with, and it's been really lovely to be on the campaign trail again and to encounter him again and to have that moment of like, wow, look what's happened in 6 years, you know? I love hanging out with Danai Gurira, who is like a creative. She's like a second brain for me, you know. We just gel so well creatively, and then we just have such a great friendship. It's great to be able to do these things, have her by my side, you know, like get up to no good together. Yeah, and of course, meeting people like Robert De Niro is always, you know, that doesn't hurt anybody. Yeah, so it's lovely. These things are a chance for those of us in the industry to see each other in real life. So now that I've been in the industry for a while, it's not as daunting because it feels like reunion time.
Yeah. For people who don't know your history, you were born in Mexico but spent most of your childhood in and around Nairobi, Kenya, and came back to Mexico for 7 months or so as a teenager to study. When you think back to the formative years, the teen years, both that you spent in Kenya and also in Mexico, how much was performing part of your life even at that young age?
Well, I was performing since I was little. I was always making believe, and I had an aunt who would organize little skits for us to present to my very, very big extended family. You know, and at the time, it took some time for me to realize that it was like a career or a profession. I just loved make-believe, and then, you know, you start to realize, oh, those people in that box, they're doing it too, you know? So it kind of just grew, and before I went to Mexico, I had my first experience working on the professional stage at Phoenix Theater, which was the first show I did was Romeo and Juliet. I played Juliet on that stage. And so I'd had that experience, and then after that it was a wrap. I was like, oh my God, I really want to be an actor. But it was still something that I kept very close to my chest. I didn't experience any of that. My Mexican reality was completely separate from performance, you know. That was about learning Spanish and surviving in a country in which I didn't speak the language. So that was my primary concern when I was in Mexico.
When you went to college at Hampshire in Massachusetts, how much time had you spent in the US prior to that?
I'd spent maybe 2 weeks in the US. When I was living in Mexico, I came to the US for a Christmas break, you know, from language school. So I'd spent like 2 weeks in Los Angeles playing Final Fantasy VIII. So I don't think that's really, I don't think that was an American experience. So my first real American experience away from Final Fantasy VIII was college.
How difficult when you graduated was it to get some of your introductory jobs? I think you were a PA on The Constant Gardener with Rachel Weisz and Ralph Fiennes. I think you interned on a Mira Nair film, The Namesake. How hard was it to kind of break in that behind the scenes way?
Well, those things happened while I was still in college. So I went to a very liberal arts school called Hampshire College, and part of the program is that you design your own major. So you know, you decide what you're doing and you go ahead and do it. And I was focusing on film studies, and one of the things they encouraged you to do at that school was to study abroad. And so abroad for me was New York. So that's how I ended up with working for Mira. And then I went on holiday, I went on vacation back to Kenya for the summer vacation, and it just so happened that there was a film crew in my neighborhood, and it was The Constant Gardener, and I was like, oh my God, I want to work on that movie. And then I happened to have dinner with a friend of mine who had a little role in it, so I basically begged/threatened him to introduce me to those that he could. And I went there in the middle of the night one night and asked whether I could do anything. And so they put me on like probation. I guess they needed PAs. And so after 2 weeks, they were like, you have a full-time job. And I was like, thank you very much.
How about the fact that you... Right. How about the fact that you PA'd on a movie that ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, and not even a decade later, you won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress?
Yeah, I can't compute that. I don't know how to compute that. And then after I won, shortly after that, we had a photo shoot, a Vanity Fair photo shoot, and I was standing right near Rachel Weisz, and and we were standing there, and it was like, it was unbelievable, that I had just been getting her coffee a few years ago.
Right. And then what was behind the decision to then at that point go back to school and go to Yale Drama, and how hard was it to get in?
Well, so I did. So those stints in the film industry were while I was an undergrad, and I had not decided yet that I wanted to be a full-time actor. And it was on the set of The Constant Gardener that I met Ray Fiennes, and he told me when I whispered to him that I wanted to be an actor, he said to me, only do it if there's nothing else in the world you want to do, nothing else you feel you need to do. And so I really, really meditated on that. I really sat with myself over the next 4 years, really just asking myself why I wanted to, if I wanted to be an actor, why it was that I wanted to be an actor. And after I graduated, I got an administrative job for a bit, and then my visa ran out, and I went home, as one does. And while I was there, it was a time for me to really self-reflect. And it was at that time that I had a very vivid image of myself in my 60s looking back at my life, and I just thought, and in this version of my life, I had not acted, and I was filled with regret. And so I decided, you know what, I have to try. And that's when I declared it to myself. And then I went to my mom, who had been the one who tasked me with the job of trying to articulate for myself what I wanted. And I said to her, Mommy, I think I know what I want to do. I want to be an actor. And she was like, I've known that since you were 3. And so I went, then I made a pact with myself that the way that I was going to pursue it was to apply to grad school. And if I got into drama school, then I knew I was on the right track, and I would not look back. I'd just go full throttle. And if I did not get into drama school, then I would go with my plan B. And I didn't know what that plan B was yet. And so I got in, and I just didn't look back.
Wow, amazing. So it's time for us to look at the first clip that we're going to watch, and it's the first thing that you did after you got out of Yale Drama School, and that is 12 Years a Slave. Let's take a look.